2:13 a.m. That's when my phone lit up, not with a notification, not with a message, with a number I didn't recognize and a subject line that didn't make sense. Liquidate exposure. Immediately. No greeting, no signature, just that. I almost ignored it, but I didn't. And what happened over the next 72 hours changed the way I see money forever. Because that message, it came from someone who had no reason to panic, someone who never panics, someone like him. If you're watching this, drop your country and local time in the comments. I read every single one. And if you care about your money, even a little, hit subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you, most people are still missing. Now let me take you back. 4 months earlier, November 3rd, 2025, 8:47 a.m., I was sitting in front of 3 screens, coffee going cold, charts open, nothing unusual. The market looked fine. That's the word everyone was using. Stable, resilient, strong. But something felt off. I couldn't explain it at the time. It wasn't a crash. It wasn't volatility. It was silence. The kind of silence that doesn't belong in a system that's supposed to be alive. I remember staring at the volume indicators. Low, too low, like nobody important was buying or selling, just waiting. That's when I saw the first signal, a filing, buried, quiet, almost invisible unless you knew where to look. A major holding, reduced, not dumped, not announced, just trimmed, carefully, strategically. I leaned back in my chair. That's strange, I said out loud, because this wasn't just anyone. This was him, and he doesn't move without a reason. But I told myself I was overthinking it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, November 17th, 2:26 p.m., another move. Different sector, same pattern. No headlines, no panic, just quiet exits. That's when I started digging deeper, and the more I looked, the worse it got. Cash levels rising, positions shrinking, timing precise, almost surgical. It didn't match the narrative. Everywhere I looked, the media was saying the same thing. Markets are strong, economy is recovering, confidence is high. But behind the scenes, something else was happening, something nobody was talking about. And then came the part I didn't understand. December 2nd, 6:11 a.m., I got access to a private investor call, not supposed to be public, not recorded, just a small room, select people, and him. His voice was calm, measured, the same voice people trust with billions. He talked about discipline, patience, long-term thinking, nothing unusual, until the last 30 seconds. That's when he paused, just for a moment, and said something that didn't fit the rest of the conversation. Sometimes, the best move is doing nothing and preparing for what others don't see yet. Then the call ended. No elaboration, no explanation, just that. I replayed it 3 times. I didn't understand it, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. Because now there were patterns, signals, and a message at 2:13 a.m. telling me to get out. I started connecting the dots, quiet selling, rising cash, strange timing, subtle warnings. It all pointed to one thing, but I didn't want to say it out loud, not yet, because if I was right, this wasn't just a correction, it was something bigger, something systemic. And then, December 9th, 9:42 p.m., everything changed. That's when the clip leaked. 10 seconds, that's all it took. A shaky recording, private event, no stage lights, no press, just him answering a question someone wasn't supposed to ask. What's your biggest concern right now? He didn't hesitate. The speed, he said. That was it. No context, no explanation. But the tone wasn't calm anymore. It was different, and people noticed. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Forums, Twitter, Reddit. Everyone asking the same question. What does he mean by speed? Views started climbing. 10,000, 50,000, 200,000. By morning, over 3 million. And that's when the reactions started pouring in. Some people dismissed it. Out of context, overreaction. But others, they started digging too. And what they found matched exactly what I'd been seeing. That's when I realized this wasn't random, this wasn't noise, this was a signal. And almost nobody was treating it like one. Good, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. December 10th, 7:18 a.m. I woke up to 23 missed calls. Not from friends, not from family. From numbers I hadn't seen in months. People who only reach out when something feels wrong. I checked my messages. Are you seeing this? Is this real? Should we be worried? I didn't reply because I didn't have an answer yet, but I had a feeling, and it wasn't good. I opened my screens. Futures were slightly down. Nothing dramatic, nothing that would scare the average person. But that was the problem. Everything looked normal, again, and by now I knew what that meant. I started tracking flows. Not headlines, not opinions. Money. Real money. And that's when I saw it. Large positions quietly unwinding. Institutional exits disguised as rebalancing. No panic, no noise. Just precision. Like people who knew exactly what they were doing and didn't want anyone else to notice. That's when I realized this wasn't a reaction. It was preparation. For something that hadn't happened yet, but was coming. I leaned back, heart racing. This doesn't make sense, I said. But it did. I just didn't want it to. Because if this was what I thought it was, we weren't early. We were late. And then came the contradiction. December 12th, 1:03 p.m. The market rallied. Hard. Green everywhere. Tech up. Indexes climbing, financial media celebrating. See? Nothing to worry about. Strong recovery. Confidence is back. I almost believed it. For a second, I almost closed my charts and told myself I was overreacting. But then I looked deeper. Volume didn't match. Momentum felt forced, like something being held up, not rising naturally. That's when I saw it. The same players who were quietly exiting weren't buying back in. They were gone. And the people pushing the market higher? Different names. Retail. Late money. People chasing the green, not understanding what was underneath it. That's when I said it out loud for the first time. This is a trap. And the worst part, it was working. Perfectly. Days cast, nothing happened, no crash, no headlines, just slow, controlled movement, up, down, sideways, enough to keep everyone calm, enough to keep everyone invested. But behind the scenes, the exits continued. Then came December 18th, 11:52 p.m. Another message, same sender, this time just 2 words. Too late. I stared at it, read it again. Too late for what? Selling? Preparing? Or escaping? I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't, because now the question wasn't if something was coming, it was when. And then, December 21st, 3:07 p.m., the first crack appeared. Not a crash, just a drop. Sharp, fast, unexpected. One sector, then another, then a third. People called it a healthy correction, normal pullback. But I watched the speed, and I remembered the clip. The speed. This wasn't normal. This was controlled acceleration, like something starting to slip, and nobody able to stop it. That's when everything started to connect. The quiet exits, the rising cash, the warning, the leak, the rally trap. It wasn't random. It was a sequence, and we were already in it. But here's the part most people still don't understand. The collapse doesn't start when the market crashes. It starts when the smartest people stop believing in it, and that had already happened. Weeks ago. We just didn't see it. Or maybe we didn't want to. Good, because this is the part nobody talks about. December 24th, 6:42 a.m. The market was closed. Christmas Eve. Quiet, peaceful, normal. I was sitting alone, Laptop open, charts frozen from the day before. Nothing moving, but my inbox was. 3 new messages, all from different people, all saying the same thing in different words. Liquidity is drying up. I didn't understand it at first, because on the surface, everything still looked fine. Prices weren't collapsing, indexes weren't crashing, but underneath, something critical was disappearing. Buyers. Real buyers. The kind that step in when things fall, the kind that stabilize everything. They were gone, and I didn't understand how dangerous that was. Not yet. December 27th. 9:11 a.m. Markets reopened. At first, nothing. Flat. Calm. Then, a drop. Fast. Recovered within minutes. Then, another. Recovered again. It looked like volatility, but it wasn't random. It was thin, fragile, like a floor that looks solid until you put weight on it. That's when I saw something I had never seen before. Orders not filling. Large orders just sitting there. No counterparties, no absorption, just empty space where demand used to be. I felt it in my chest. This shouldn't be happening, because this is what crashes are made of, not panic, absence. And then, December 29th, 2:38 p.m., the second clip dropped, longer this time, not 10 seconds, almost a minute. Private meeting, closed doors, but someone recorded it anyway. You could hear him clearly. Warren Buffett. "No one rings a bell at the top," he said. A few people laughed. He didn't. He leaned forward. And when liquidity disappears, things don't decline. They fall. Silence. Then the video cut. That was it. No context, no follow-up, but this time, people understood. The clip exploded. Views in the millions within hours. Finance channels reacting, threads going viral, arguments everywhere. Is he warning us? Is this taken out of context? Is something about to happen? I didn't need to ask those questions anymore because I had already seen the signs, and now so was everyone else. That's when the shift happened. Not in the market, in people. Fear. Settle at first, then louder. People started pulling money, small amounts, then bigger ones. Not panic selling, just hesitation, doubt. And that's all it takes, because markets don't collapse from fear alone. They collapse when confidence breaks, and confidence was cracking, fast. December 30th, 10:06 a.m. I tried to exit one of my positions. Nothing extreme, just a normal sell. It didn't go through. I refreshed, tried again. Partial fill. The rest, hanging, waiting. That's when it hit me. This is it. Not a crash, not yet, but the beginning. The moment where the system stops behaving the way it's supposed to. And once that happens, it doesn't go back. New Year's Eve, 11:59 p.m. Fireworks outside, celebrations, people counting down. I was staring at my screen, watching futures, barely moving, but I wasn't looking at price anymore. I was looking at depth, or what was left of it, almost nothing. Thin, hollow, like a market built on air. And I remembered something. That message, liquidate exposure immediately. I should have listened sooner. I didn't understand it at the time, but I do now, because the collapse doesn't announce itself. It whispers, in filings, in behavior, in silence, in things most people ignore, and by the time it becomes obvious, it's already too late. January 3rd, first trading day of the year, 9:30 a.m. The bell rang, and for a moment, everything looked normal. Then it dropped. Harder than before, faster than before, and this time it didn't bounce. People froze, then they reacted, then they rushed. But there was a problem. There was no one on the other side. No buyers, no support, just empty space. And that's when it started. Not the end, the beginning of what he had already seen, of what he had already prepared for, of what most people
were still denying. I sat there, watching it unfold in real time, and I realized something I wish I had understood earlier. The smartest people don't wait for confirmation. They move on signals, quiet ones, invisible ones, the kind you only notice if you're paying attention. I almost ignored them. I almost stayed in. I almost believed the headlines, but I didn't. And that decision might have saved everything, or maybe just delayed the inevitable, because this isn't over, not even close. If anything, it's just getting started. So let me ask you something. When the signals were there, the warnings, the silence, would you have seen them, or would you have ignored them like everyone else? Comment your country and time. I read every single one.